Do you wait for everything to be perfect and lined up straight before you make a choice? How hard are you trying to get everything in your life right? What if jumping in and getting messy is one of the ways to find out what works for you? Discover how being willing to mess up can create the phenomenal life you truly desire. Get ready to quit judging and start embracing all of your messy adventures. Now, here's your host, self-declared messy living expert, Petrina Fava.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Messy Adventures in Living. I'm your host, Petrina Fava. It's Monday morning. So, how are you all being this morning? It's Monday. All right, so what are we talking about today? Today, the title of our show is Making Wild Work. So thanks for joining us on Messy Adventures, Making Wild Work. Are your ideas and creations fantastically messy and chaotic? Do they come at you from all different directions? Are they fast, furious, wild? Do you love it and ride the wave, or do you try to make them linear and squeeze them into the box that we call this reality? Or have you furiously rejected the box that you have inadvertently thrown out a system that you could have used to your advantage? I have a wonderful guest on this morning. Her name is Carol Glover. We're going to take a look at how we can use the systems and tools that work in this reality to bring our magical creations to life. I don't think Carol is here yet, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce her. Carol Glover. So Carol has her project management professional designation and over 20 years of intense corporate experience in which she's developed a keen ability to meet business challenges with elegant solutions. In 2009, she founded Firehorse Consulting, Inc., and continues to provide management and advisory services through it. In early 2013, she discovered that she was able to bring her personal studies in consciousness and universal energies directly to business with profound effect. Upon recognizing that each business has its own energy, she was led to bring the healing arts directly to her clients' businesses. The results of this work have ranged from subtle to profound and continue to astound and enliven her as much as her clients. Now, Carol enjoys sharing her clumsy explorations of self and business through her radio show, Clumsy Girls Guide to Greatness, as on A2Zen.fm, right here, as well as through writing and speaking engagements. Yay, Carol! Hi, Carol.
Hey, hi, Petrina.
Yay, you're here.
I made it.
So the Clumsy Girl is on Messy Adventures.
Clumsy and messy. How is this going to get any better?
How does it get better than that? So last week on your show, we started to kind of talk a little bit about this topic, and we I guess started to touch on the having the awareness of all this energy and how it can sometimes be pretty wild and a little messy. And then we were wondering how we could actually start using the systems that are in this reality to our advantage. Would you say that's about right?
Yeah, totally. We started talking about how, for me personally, I went from this very rigid, almost scientific sort of life, and that didn't work for me. So I went to this entirely aimless, goalless, and it was fun, but it still wasn't necessarily working for me in a life. So we started touching on how to get the two stay in that wildness and still be able to operate, leverage, and manipulate systems to work.
Yeah.
And I think it's not about trying to fit in or to do things anyone else's way. It's about not losing yourself as you create your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I think I look at where I've done a lot of that too. So in the beginning, when I learned, so I have my sexy voice on today, everybody. Excuse my coughing. I think I see where in the beginning when I started to use the tools of Access Consciousness, and for anyone who doesn't know, Access is a set of tools. It's a modality that offers you a set of tools that you can use to change anything that's going on in your life. And one of the first things that I learned was this idea of, well, what if you're actually not wrong? And what if all your wild and crazy is not wrong? And what if that's actually a capacity? And when I heard it, I was really excited, and it was actually really light, and I was really excited to run with that and finally not be wrong for it, because I had made myself wrong for it most of my life. And then I see where I also I went all the way to one side, right? And was like, well, screw this reality. I'm not doing it like that anymore because I have awareness and I have creative capacity and I am not wrong. So screw that, and I'm on this side now.
and everybody else is wrong because I'm not wrong now.
And everybody else is wrong because I'm not wrong. Right. Superior, anyone? Oh, my goodness.
Aware.
And it's like you said, too, it was fun for a little while. It was actually it was great. Like, it was fun to do that, and it was fun to finally, really embrace that. Right? And then I think I started to see where I could actually use the systems and structures of this reality to my advantage. How about you?
Yeah, there comes a point where it's like unleashing yourself is really not in your best favor sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it almost backfires on you, or it did on me anyway.
Yeah,
because I quickly went broke, and well, because you find all these wonderful things to play with, and all the ones I found happened to take a ton of money, or sucked a lot of money out of me somehow or another, and then I found myself being me, and not actually being able to enjoy that because I didn't have the resources to do the things that I was really aiming for. It was weird. I don't know how to explain what happened. Know that I was being me and I was broke and not able to create, really, because I got stuck in the brokenness.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no, I think I get what you're saying. I think for me too, like I was really trying to create a business from that space, from like knowing the energy of what my business wanted to look like, and also not really asking so many questions about how to make it work in this reality or how it could be received in this reality, because I think I almost have to remember that I am aware of energies, and also how can I package it so that it's received. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think for me it made me kind of able to comprehend how creative, like really super phenomenally artistic people in this world, how they struggle so much with actually turning their art and turning their creations into a viable living, so to speak. And I guess because I had come from the incredibly scientific side, I was completely dumbfounded by, oh my gosh, I am exactly like all of those people that I thought were crazy and going nowhere. Oh my God, I'm them.
Oh my God,
so
I want to
how can
say it as well. Okay, let's get clear. So everything that is, everyone's refusing to be like them. Can we just try to create all that?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. So if any of you have never heard the clearing statement before, it is a tool in Access Consciousness about something and the energy of it comes up. It's a collection of words with a very long explanation that I won't get into that kind of just destroys and gets rid of all the heavy energy that's attached to it. And you can find out more about the clearing statement at www.theclearingstatement.com. Wow.
So that was fun. So now what do we do? Now that we realize that we are them, we are those creatives, we are those incredibly genius kind of people, have we lost Petrina? Okay. Anyway, we get to the point where we realize that, okay, I am those person. I still have skills from the other side, from the dark side. And what will it take to be able to use them and to translate them and all of that good stuff? So we are just about to go to break, and we've lost Petrina. So I think I'm going to take an executive decision here and go to break a little bit early while we get her back on here. And you are listening to Messy Adventures in Living with Petrina Fava and me, her guest, Carol Glover. And we'll be right back. FM.
Do you wait until all the traffic lights are green before you get in your car? Of course you don't. Are you waiting until you have everything perfect to begin living? Most of us have learned not to take any steps until we have all the information to make the right choice. What if the opposite is true? What if it's choice that creates awareness? Are you willing to make lots of messy choices so you can begin to see the possibilities that you didn't even think existed? Listen for Messy Adventures in Living radio show with self-declared messy living expert Petrina Fava every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, and 6 Pacific on A2Zen.fm. How much more expansive would your life be if you were willing to get messy with your choices?
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
You're listening to Messy Adventures in Living with Petrina Fava. To participate in today's show, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 033-0001-0625. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also ask questions or comment by email by sending to Petrina at petrinafava.com. Now, here's Petrina with more messy adventures.
Hey, welcome back. You're listening to Messy Adventures in Living on a2zen.fm. I'm your host, Petrina Fava, and my guest today is Carol Glover. So, Carol, before the break, I got disconnected, but I'm back now. Did you get disconnected as well?
No, just you.
Oh, okay. I thought both of us got lost there. So we were talking about now that we have the awareness of us and how we be, and we can still use the skills that we have from, did you call it the dark side?
I called it the dark side.
The dark side, and how we get them to work for us without losing us in the process. Yeah, it's funny. The dark side. I was just going to say that I was starting to say that it was interesting that you said that you had, like, you were coming at it from a scientific background, because I think, I'm a nurse, right? So I also have this scientific background, which interestingly has a lot of form and structure in it. And actually also encourages us to use some degree of awareness as well, right? Like, there's a lot of talk about trusting your gut and, your nursing instinct. And it's funny that I kind of, had a similar thing to what you were describing, where I was almost like I was using I had no problems using the form and structure at work. I have no problems using it at work when I go to work as a nurse. And I don't really question the form and structure because I know that it works for me. And I also can totally use my awareness and be aware of energies when I'm there. And so I kind of looking at, well, that's funny that I am able to do that no problem and don't really have a judgment about it. And yet when I'm looking at my business, I wonder what that is. Like, I wonder what all that, it almost feels like cloudiness to me, where I have all this awareness of the energies all around me and ideas and creation coming from at me in all directions. And yet I have this, like, it should be all that and not necessarily using any of the structure. It's kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I tried to apply, for me, I tried to apply form and structure to what I was creating. And that always made it only half as good. But I thought that I had to put form and structure to it in order to be able to sell it.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so then, what's the difference between form and structure and system? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Maybe. I would say the difference is for me, a system is just a repeat task, something that we can do over and over again. It's almost like automating the predictable parts, whereas form and structure for me is trying to smash the creative parts into a system or program.
Right.
So it's trying to fit something that's very intangible into something that is tangible.
Yeah. And I think for me, when I look at systems, I think what comes up for me is is flexibility and like the willingness to change, whereas form and structure feels extremely rigid and not really willing or able to change. So then there's that shoving in energy that you talk about. Like, here's this thing that's really intangible or a very creative and energetic, and then trying to shove it into this box that's very rigid and doesn't have any give.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas a system is like, okay, it's a system, but we can change it over here, and we can change it over here, depending on what the business is asking for, or the creation, or whatever it is that we're creating.
Yeah, it's kind of like software development. You know, you find a different way or you find a better way, you just upgrade it and you just keep moving on. You don't really have to think too much about it. Even in that upgrade, there might be a little bug or something, but you can work through it because it's just a system.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah. So
it's funny. Can I go back just a second? You mentioned something when you were talking about in the nursing and using your level of awareness in nursing, and you don't really think much about it. I'm wondering if a lot of this has to do with, okay, now I'm not at the office, I'm not at the hospital or whatever. So now we have to label what it is that we're using. And it doesn't feel like awareness because it's not as automatic, or it is as automatic, but it can't be. Like, do we have to label it before we can value it or honor it?
Oh, yeah. I guess so, because it does feel less labeled and it feels less defined, for sure. Yeah. And less, it feels like it has less borders.
Right, but cool. If you look at it now, is it really any different than the awareness you use in your nursing?
No. I think the difference is that, how do I say it? It feels like when in my nursing, it's like I have one first and the other one second. No, that's actually not true. Like because
this is fun.
It is fun. Yeah, you know what? Actually, this what I've labeled as structure in my nursing work is actually not so much, because it really is a system. There's a lot of flexibility is actually really required when you're working as a nurse. So it is. Thank you, because I think I have been actually judging it as a structure, like as a form and structure. Mm-hmm. When actually a lot of it is very much a system, and we learn to change and go with the flow, and depending on what's required, literally every 10 seconds. Yeah, wow. Yeah, I think I just decided that it couldn't possibly be the same, that the way I play with energy and the way I play with my awareness is different than how I use it in my nursing job, in my this reality job. Yeah. It's so much of it is just really about having interesting points of view and where we're judging what we're looking at, right? So like how much have we judged the box and judged it to be the dark side and wrongness, so much so that we can't see how it can work to our advantage.
Yeah.
So how can we change that? So how can we change the judgment of the form and structure? What questions can we ask, right?
Well, I would think for starters, it's the acknowledgement that it really is no different. It's just something else, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of like removes the polarity of it. It just is this other thing, this other piece of whatever puzzle. it's not a light or a dark side. It's not this or that, and not even like how much easier is it to use if you don't feel like you have to flip a switch in your brain? You would just be able to flow between the two, or have them both going at the same time. So I wonder if there's a process to activate them going at the same time. Your awareness and following the energy and the system.
I think asking questions like what's required and what what tools can I use, how can I use this reality to my advantage? How can I use the systems and structures of this reality? I think, when you do your energy infusions, I think that's kind of a good example, even because you are able to tap into the energy of a creation or the energy of a business, and then just put it into words. So in a sense, that's also a way of using. Can you describe what that's like for you when you are aware of all this energy of a creation and a business, and then getting it out of your mouth and into words?
I can try.
Yeah.
When it first started to show up for me, the businesses almost always showed up almost like automatons, like the mechanical characters at Disneyland.
Right.
Right. In the features, it was almost a business would almost show up like that. It had almost human form, but it felt more mechanical. And I guess that's where the systems came in. So with my background in being able to read and comprehend systems, it just made it easier for me to translate, I guess, showing up that way. Now it's definitely much more of an energetic kind of, it's more nebulous now when a business shows to me. But the business is nebulous? Yeah, they kind of have. It really all depends on the business. Some of the businesses that I work with, they have this little bit of a mechanical core, but everything on the outside is sort of like gelatin, and some are still very mechanical.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And I don't know if
mechanical is the mechanical piece, it feels like that's the system?
Kind of. Well, at the beginning, even the heart of the business felt mechanical. The way a business communicates felt mechanical when I was first starting to explore this. Now, whether it's because the businesses are changing, the types of businesses that are coming to me are changing and their owners are changing, or maybe it's me changing, but I'm seeing more of the human side of it almost.
Yeah. I wonder if recognizing
the softer side.
Oh. Cool. Yeah, I wonder if recognizing the system and almost like setting up the system. Yeah, I don't. Wow, it's not easy to talk about this. Talk about
and you were expecting it to be because.
Talk about trying to put all your awareness into some kind of system and structure. It's really interesting actually to try and put this all into words. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so everything thank you, Rhonda. Oh, everything that is everywhere we've decided, and all the difficulty of putting awareness and energy into words and some kind of system. Can we just try and create all that, please? Right, wrong, give that talk about all nine shorts, boys, beyonds. And that's a great way to go to break. So we're going to go to break. You're listening to Messy Adventures in Living on A to Zen.fm with myself, Petrina Fava, and my wonderful guest, Carol Glover. When we return, we will continue our conversation about making wild work. Stay tuned.
Do you wait until all the traffic lights are green before you get in your car? Of course you don't. Are you waiting until you have everything perfect to begin living? Most of us have learned not to take any steps until we have all the information to make the right choice. What if the opposite is true? What if it's choice that creates awareness? Are you willing to make lots of messy choices so you can begin to see the possibilities that you didn't even think existed? Listen for Messy Adventures in Living radio show with self-declared messy living expert Petrina Fava every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, and 6 Pacific on a2zen.fm. How much more expansive would your life be if you were willing to get messy with your choices?
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
You're listening to Messy Adventures in Living with Petrina Fava. To participate in today's show, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 033-0001-0625. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also ask questions or comment by email by sending to Petrina at petrinafava.com. Now, here's Petrina with more messy adventures.
Welcome back. You're listening to Messy Adventures in Living on A to Zen.fm with myself, Petrina Fava, and my guest, Carol Glover. So before the break, we have been discussing making wild work and talking about creative energies and being aware of creative energies, and also using the systems and structures in this reality to make it work. So making all the wild and crazy ideas and creations that are coming at you work in this reality. Hi, Carol.
Hi.
Okay, so do you have something you want to talk about, an example or something like that?
Yeah, I actually, during the break, I thought of a really good example. I have one of my very dear clients. It's an old company, like 25 to 30 years old almost, and he came because he would always have these ebbs and flows where he was like on top of his game, business was going well, and then it would tank. And when it tanked hard. Okay. And he knew that part of that was not having any real systems in place. And he brought me on board to find these systems. And as we worked together, we noticed that complexity kills him. It kills a lot of people, especially incredibly, like, highly creative people. So having a system, even if it's like a process for managing your receipt, right, or doing your invoicing, having a process that has any more than like 4 steps will never last. And like, it won't be sustainable. You won't be able to maintain it, and the accountant will not be happy at the end of it all. So we just kept on. We would write everything out for whatever process it was that we were working on at the time. We would write it out, and I would be able to take out about 2 of 3 steps because they just weren't required. There is so much in this world that we try to fit into our lives, like so many systems and processes, that they're just so not required. I don't know where they came from. I don't know what the point of them was. It probably just made somebody be able to justify their paycheck at one point, but it's not required, especially not for highly creative businesses. So get rid of them and make it as elegant and simple as possible. Then you can maintain it.
Yeah, that's a really great example about, doing what works for you. And I think what comes up for me when you talk about that too is like how much we look at what works for other people and then decide that that's the way to do it. Or decide that there are structures that are declared the best way to do something. And so then we try and fit what we are creating into that because we've decided they know better. I mean, okay, I guess I'll speak for myself. So, that's that's a lot of what I've been doing, where it's like, well, I don't know anything about business, or I don't know anything about such and such. So I have this energy over here of what I would like my business to be. Let me now try and use this system and get frustrated when it doesn't work, because I'm not actually asking questions. And that's why I think, asking questions is so key. And asking questions of your business and your creations is so key, because there is no one business that's like another. So like for me, when I was creating my baby massage classes, one of the first things I did was look at how other people were running their classes and then try to copy it. Not really copy it, but copy the system. Do you know what I mean?
The format,
The format. So I, right off the bat had the energy of what I wanted to put out into the world and what my classes wanted to be. And then when I looked at what other people were doing, I set up, weekly classes like this and like this and like this. And I decided that that's what people would want. There was no real question. And now it's been years that I've been actually frustrated with that. And I haven't been asking questions about how my business would like to actually be. And now that I'm kind of looking at that and I've changed, I've dropped the weekly classes because I've known for a really long time that actually my business doesn't enjoy being weekly, set up weekly. Like asking questions is, of course, humongous, as we know. Access Consciousness talks a lot about being in the question. It's one of the main tools in Access. So that is. Thank you. That was a good example. What questions can we ask our business? Oh, let's look in the chat room and see what's going on over here. Kelsey. So Rio is saying you can't just take your receipts and printouts from Quicken in a shoebox to the accountant?
Sure.
Oh, my goodness. Sure, whatever works for you, whatever's easy.
I'm sure your accountant would be more than happy to do that for you, because you're going to get an awful large bill at the end. I actually took my account. I tried, I don't know how many accounting system, like software, for my own business. And I went back to a spreadsheet. My accountant loves it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so simple for me to just whip through. I don't have to program anything. I don't have to make sure that I do this and that and that and that. It's all in one place. He gets to see where I stand pretty quickly. He can do whatever charts and whatever he wants to do. And the data's there. That's all that I really cared about. I didn't care what it looked like. None of that.
Right.
So I just simplified it down to what works for me.
Right. And then your level of frustration probably decreased tremendously.
Yeah,
and you can
for
be
sure.
Right. And so and then how much more aware can you be of what your business is asking for when you're not all twisted up about
it totally frees everything up.
Mm-hmm.
Frees up your mind, you get to sleep again, and
oh yeah, that thing.
Yeah, and it's just amazing what you can accomplish when you do simplify things so much.
Right. So you know what's really funny is that you talk about how you use one system and then another with your accounting. You want to know what I did?
What?
Nothing. Total avoidance, right? So
yeah.
And that's another way that for me that's how I've gone all the way to one side, where I started to use some of the tools of access, and I decided that I didn't need to use this reality tool. Well, I can just ask my business, and I can just create it from energy, and I don't need to use a spreadsheet because, and that obviously that has created a lot of dis-ease in my in my business and in my life, because now I am frustrated that things are not moving the way I would like them to and the way my business would like them to. But really, if I could just implement some systems to make it easier, even if it means asking someone else to do it, then how much more ease would that create?
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because there was another client that I had who had the accounting systems, had someone else doing that part for her. There was still some sort of a disconnect between her and her business. So I did did some business energy work with her. Mm-hmm. And the business was like, there's a money leak. And if she didn't have the systems, it would have been hell for her to try to find it, and I bet she would have given up. Whereas with the systems in place, she was able to take it to her bookkeeper and say, okay, this is going to sound really weird, but I'm spending too much money somewhere. And they were able to pinpoint it in minutes instead of days, weeks, months, or never. So that's where they start to serve you on that end of it, right? Yeah, and again, it's about asking what's required. When you have an awareness, it's like, okay, I have an awareness that there's a money leak somewhere, so what's required? And if you get a headache from thinking of doing it yourself, then where can you, who else can contribute to your business? And everywhere you've decided that you have to do it all yourself. Can we destroy it and create all that? Right, wrong, get that pop up on. I'm sure it's boys and beyond. I just like Rhonda's comment here is, head in the sand is not a pragmatic approach. Christine says, the sand piles up. And then we could dye it purple. But it's an interesting thing, this thing that we do about going into unawareness as well. When structures we can't compute structure, and so then we just go into total unawareness. I wonder if some of that is even a little bit of self-sabotage. I mean, I know that's a total 360 from what we're talking about, but that's just what comes up for me when I look at that. I don't know if that's going on for anyone else. I don't know what you just brought up, but I've got like full body goosebumps, so whatever that is.
Yeah, like, how much of our resistance to systems and structures is actually what we've put in place to self-sabotage and everything that brings up. Can we destroy and uncreate it all? Oh, right, wrong, good, bad, pop, look, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. Oh, my goodness.
So there's always that one thing holding you back, right? You can't have it all. There's always just that one thing that you create that'll hold you.
Right? And it should be hard.
Yeah, of course.
It can't possibly be that easy. It's got to be hard.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, because, and again, I swear that's because somebody made that up to justify their paycheck. They make up the complications. They make up the myths that it's supposed to be hard, so that you'll have to hire them and pay them all kinds of money to do it for you, or to show you how to do it.
Right.
Bleh.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, on nine shows. Okay, so let us go to break. You're listening to Messy Adventures in Living on A to Zen.fm with myself, Petrina Fava, and my guest, Carol Glover. When we return, we will continue our conversation about making wild work. Stay tuned.
Do you wait until all the traffic lights are green before you get in your car? Of course you don't. Are you waiting until you have everything perfect to begin living? Most of us have learned not to take any steps until we have all the information to make the right choice. What if the opposite is true? What if it's choice that creates awareness? Are you willing to make lots of messy choices so you can begin to see the possibilities that you didn't even think existed? Listen for Messy Adventures in Living radio show with self-declared messy living expert Petrina Fava every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, and 6 Pacific on A2Zen.fm. How much more expansive would your life be if you were willing to get messy with your choices?
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that, when run, assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
You're listening to Messy Adventures in Living with Petrina Fava. To participate in today's show, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 033-0001-0625. Or you can Skype us at A2Zen.fm. You can also ask questions or comment by email by sending to Petrina at petrinafava.com. Now, here's Petrina with more messy adventures.
Welcome back. You're listening to Messy Adventures in Living on A to Zen.fm with myself, your host, Petrina Fava, and my guest, Carol Glover. So, Carol, before we end, I think we still have about 10 minutes. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing and what's going on and what's coming up for you in the world?
Sure. Thanks. Well, I'm hosting here in Cambridge, Ontario, November 12th through 16th, 5 Days to Change Your Life. That's Access Consciousness Bars Foundation and Level 1. I'm hosting the amazing Christine McIver for that one. I have a 6-month business energy infusion group going on now. You can catch it on Facebook or energyofbusiness.com. And that is 6 monthly infusions. I've never been called to do them monthly before. They've been quarterly-ish, and never quite as interactive as this program for 6 months is. We had our first one this October, and you can join us one by one or on the whole group. You can get that information at energyofbusiness.com. And my book, The Clumsy Girl's Guide to Greatness, is so close to completion. It should be on Amazon hopefully any day now.
That's awesome. Sounds great. And you know what? The energy infusions, you did one for me, and I've been on a couple of group ones. They're really, really cool. And it was one of the first times I really had a really true awareness of my business as its own entity. And I think I always kind of knew that, but when you did the energy infusion for me, it was really cool to be aware of how much my business really wished to contribute to me and how easy and flexible my business actually was. I was actually crying as I was listening to it. It was really wonderful. So you guys, if you're even thinking about it, they're really quite amazing, Carol. They're pretty damn cool. Yeah, you're welcome. And a book that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Cool. So I am also hosting a Bars Foundation Level 1 5 Days to Change. I'm hosting Christine McIver from November the 19th to 23rd in Etobicoke, Ontario, at my studio there. So I have that coming up soon, and I have a really exciting announcement that I'm going to keep a secret until next week.
No.
Yes. So I guess to recap, what questions would you suggest people are asking if they're feeling really muddled and kind of confused and have some head mush going on around putting their wild creations and the awareness, the energetic awareness of their creations into into some kind of system? What would you suggest? What questions would you suggest people ask?
Well, yeah. I think probably first and foremost, most people would have multiple creations kind of in the hopper. And one of my first questions is this for now, later, or someone else even? So that would be my first one.
That's a great one, actually. Even for someone else, we forget that one a lot.
Yeah, and the only other question I can think of that would be one of my first ones to ask would be, does it require a system?
Does it require assistance? Cool. I think too, for me, one of the questions that I ask a lot when I have that head mush is, what energy, space, and consciousness can I be to have total clarity and ease with all of this? Or even just asking, what questions can I ask? Because I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm so in the muck that I can barely think of a question. Yeah. So sometimes asking, what question can I ask? To have clarity with this is a really easy one to remember.
Yeah, your questions are way better than my first ones. Never mind.
Oh, no way. No way. No, you know what popped for me actually is this for me or someone else? Because I think we often just assume that everything is for us.
And right away. So, yeah.
Right away. Thanks for listening to us on
Thanks
Messy
for playing with
Adventures
us on Messy Adventures in Living. Petrina Fava will return next Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Mountain, and 6 a.m. Pacific on a2zen.fm. We'd love to have you join us again. Until then, have fun creating